Hi, today we're going to talk about my deck that I built that is Rogahh, Kher Keep Overlord. And I've got Wyatt here. He's going to help me go through the deck and understand if I've got something worth playing and what we've got here. So Wyatt, are you familiar with Rogahh?
Quite so.
Okay, tell me a little bit about it.
So it's a Rakdos commander that benefits you casting kobolds and dragons, and it has an anthem baked into it as well, which makes it really favor a go wide strategy, as well as having a lot of mana up in order to pay the additional cost of 2 to create a 4/4. And so it can also capitalize off of entering the battlefield effects, like say any impact tremors effects. Those are immediately going to trigger twice when you play a dragon or kobold, and so getting 2 damage off of every creature you play is really beneficial.
All right, so it sounds like you have a good knowledge of Rogahh. I put a deck together. Let me walk you through what I've got here. I'm going to start with the dragons. I only have 3 dragons, and I feel like I probably need more dragons. But they're good dragons. Scourge of Valkis. Whenever Scourge of Valkis and another dragon enters the battlefield under your control, it deals X damage to any target where X is the number of dragons you control. So every time a dragon comes on, it's going to do damage. And so it'd be amazing to be putting a kobold out and then pay 2 for a dragon and then get damage done for that dragon just coming onto the battlefield. That's awesome. My other dragon is Goldspan Dragon. It just has flying haste, and whenever this creature attacks or becomes the target of a spell, create a treasure token. So, that's just a nice 5 mana 4/4. Not creating treasure tokens is cool. It's not really my focus in this deck, but it's good. The next dragon I have is Decadent Dragon, and it has an instant what is this called when it's down here?
That's an adventure.
It has an adventure, expensive taste for 2 and 1 black. And it says, exile the top 2 cards of target opponent's library face down. You may look at and play those cards for as long as they remain exiled. I probably wouldn't ever play that because I'm looking to play the dragon, and he's just a 4 mana 4/4.
Well, you see, when you play an adventure, the entire card gets exiled, and you can actually play the creature on a later turn from exile, and that's what makes you want to play the adventure.
Oh, I didn't realize. How do you play a card from exile?
Play it from exile.
Okay, I probably don't have anything in here that allows me to play from exile, though.
So, adventure is a special keyword that does, though.
Okay. How do you play it from exile?
You just play it from exile. You play it, like a card.
Like it's
from
one of the
exile.
cards in your hand?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
So, Dad, the way this works is that I say, okay, I pay 3 for expensive taste. This gets exiled, and now I may play it for 4 as the creature.
Wow, I didn't realize that's how you could do that. Okay, so this is more functional than I realized. So I need to, it's a good point. It's a great point that you need to understand your deck and what the cards do. I'm still learning. I'm only like 3 months into this Magic adventure, and there's still a ton that I'm figuring out. So that actually makes it more versatile. So very good. But I do only have 3 dragons. But based on that, I only get a free kobold when I cast a dragon. So it's, yes, you're getting a free kobold, but it's not really about having a lot of dragons unless those dragons can do something really awesome. Really what's awesome is the kobolds in this deck. There's not a whole lot of kobold creatures, but the ones that are kind of cool because there's 4 of them that are 0 mana. They don't do anything really other than come in as a 0/1 creature. But yeah, they really trigger Rogah's ability, don't they?
Yeah.
So if I can play a 0 mana kobold and have 2 mana to play the dragon, I basically got 2 creatures for 2 mana.
That's really good.
That's awesome. And one's a 4/4 flying dragon.
Yeah. being able to play a 2/3 because of the +2/+2 Roghahs being
Explain that one again.
So they're 0/1s, but Rogahh gives all other kobolds +2/+2, and so those 0/1s actually become 2/3s, plus the additional 4/4 body that you get when you pay the 2. If you pay 6 mana, you get 6 creatures, which means pretty much every creature is 1 mana. 1 mana 4/4 dragon sounds awesome in my opinion.
One of the things about this deck that I really liked was, even though there's only so many kobolds and maybe only a few dragons, part of my question here was, how do I make this the most powerful, use Rogah's ability to the best I can? And we were talking one day, and what did you tell me about?
I told him about changelings. Changeling is a keyword that appears on creatures in some instance that gives the creature or card it's on all creature types. So that's going to trigger both of Rogah's abilities.
Which is awesome. Most of these changelings cost 1 or 2, and a couple of them cost 3 if they have additional abilities besides being a changeling. For example, Graveshifter as a changeling comes in, and when Graveshifter enters the battlefield, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. When I was going through this, I was looking at it and saying, okay, I could make it a go wide deck, but there's also opportunities to put in additional, characteristics of the deck that really make it cool. And I really like the idea of enter the battlefield and exit the battlefield abilities. And so I found these cards that I'll start with the exit the battlefield. You can sacrifice creatures to draw cards with Deadly Dispute. With Plumb the Forbidden, you cast it and then you sacrifice 1 or more creatures, and if you do, you get to draw cards equal to that, but you lose a life for every time you do that. So you can sacrifice a goblin, which then the changelings are goblins also. So I can sacrifice a goblin to deal 1 damage to any target, and that's pretty cool. This one is just, I can buff this creature through sacrifice. Sacrifice a creature to put a 1/1 token on Carrion Feeder. But sometimes the ability to sacrifice can trigger a separate exit the battlefield. For example, I have this where I have others where it says, whenever this creature or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So I could use those abilities to sacrifice creatures and use the ability on Zulaport Cutthroat to gain life and deal damage to my opponents. And actually I have 3 cards that do that: Bastion of Remembrance and Blood Artist. They all essentially do the same thing.
Now, Blood Artist is actually a little bit better than these other ones, because Blood Artist triggers whenever any creature dies. So if your opponent is playing a sacrifice deck, then you can capitalize off of their sacrifice too.
That's a great point, and that's something you need to keep track of, because your opponent's not going to tell you that Blood Artist activated because they sacrificed. So you need to keep track of when that happens. I know I've missed that, and so thank you for bringing that up. As I go through it, there's a couple of combos that are included in this, and I think they're pretty cool. One is that I won't go into a ton of depth on this because I actually haven't had it happen yet. I've played this deck maybe 24 times, and I haven't really had the opportunity to use Perforos, God of the Forge, and Living Death in the way that the combo can occur. But if you've got the best way is to have a 3rd card to be able to sacrifice all your creatures. So say you have a board of creatures and you're able to sacrifice them.
So say you had Carrion Feeder, those types of cards, being able to sacrifice your board.
So if you can sacrifice those creatures, what you do is with Living Death, if you had a board of say 5 creatures and you had a graveyard that maybe had 2 or 3 additional creatures in there. So what you do is you can play Living Death, and Porphyros will then not be a creature because all your creatures are off the board. And because Porphyros has...
What does Living Death do?
So, well, what Living Death does is it says each player exiles all creature cards from their graveyard. So that's why you want to sacrifice into your graveyard first, because then after that it says then sacrifices all creatures they control. So if you do it the other way around and you left creatures on your battlefield, they'll get sacrificed after you've exiled them out of your graveyard. Because the third thing that it does in Living Death is then puts all cards they exiled this way onto the battlefield. So you're going to get all the creatures that you exiled out of your graveyard back onto the battlefield. So you have to be careful to get all the creatures into the graveyard first, or else Living Death will actually sacrifice any creatures that are left on your battlefield. That's why you want to also make sure that Porphyros isn't a creature at the time that you play Living Death, or else it would then go into the graveyard and it would ruin this whole plan. Because what Porphyros does is it says whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Porphyros deals 2 damage to each opponent. So in this scenario, if you sacrificed 4 or 5 creatures, if you had 2 or 3 creatures, and you had those all in your graveyard, let's say 7 or 8, and then you played Living Death and you still had Porphyros on the as an enchantment at that point, then you would then bring 7 or 8 creatures back onto your battlefield, and you would deal 14 to 16 damage to each opponent at that point.
That's crazy.
That's awesome, right?
That's awesome.
That's a great combo to be able to deal, and at that point you're dealing a lot of damage.
And also the cool thing with Living Death is that if a player has no creature cards in their graveyard, it basically acts as a board wipe, which can be so it's very versatile as well.
That's a great point, because it is for each player and not just for you. So it can help your opponent out, I suppose, if they've maybe milled a bunch of creature cards into their graveyard. So you have to be careful about that. Mm-hmm. But if you do it at the right time, it might be that last swing, that last blow that really finishes off your opponents with that last 10 to 15 points of damage. And that's really what I think that is there for. Otherwise, there's definitely situations where you might put 10 or 15 creatures on your opponent's battlefield for them, and that might not be a good idea. Yeah. So you better be able to kill them if that's the case. But that is a great combo. If you look in Architect, it says that there's another combo, and but I don't know that I understand how to use it, to be honest. It is, let me find the card there. It's oh, here we go. It's using Changeling, Berserker, and Molten Echoes. And somehow, if you have, because this has the champion and Molten, whoa.
What's the Molten Echoes?
Where is Molten Echoes? So there's using Changeling, Berserker, and Molten Echoes together. And I think you need additional creatures on the battlefield, and you have to be able to, you end up coming up with something where you champion a creature and it gets exiled, and then it comes back on, and you have a bunch of enter the battlefield and exit the battlefield triggers, and then you end up creating.
The combo here is that Changeling Berserker champions a creature, which means when you play it, you'll have to sacrifice it unless you exile another creature until this one dies. Molten Echoes creates a non-token. Well, you choose a creature type. In this case, it would be Shapeshifter, or it doesn't really matter. You can choose kobolds, you can choose dragons, but the important part is that whenever a non-token creature of the chosen type enters, so for this one it's everything, you create a token that's a copy of that creature. So now you can exile something else. You can exile your current Changeling Berserker, and then that will bring the champion card back onto the battlefield. But you have to exile the token at the beginning of the next end step. Now that will leave the battlefield. Now that will return the Changeling Berserker. Now that will trigger Molten Echoes. That will create another token. That will exile another creature. You basically get an infinite loop of blinking and redoing enter the battlefield effects. So if you had
And
this
exit
with
the battlefield.
and
effects.
exit the battlefield effects, so if you had something like Impact Tremors
Or
or
Porphyros.
Porphyros or Mayhem Devil, pretty much GG.
Yeah. What's GG?
Good game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This slang. Yeah, I need to get on top of that.
That's a sick combo. That's awesome.
So see, I didn't even understand it. And you're saying it's awesome?
It's awesome. Because now the reason I think this is really cool is that because it uses an auto mechanic champion. And I'm like, champion's just okay. You're not really getting much out of it. You know, without Molten Echoes, Changeling Berserker is really just a changeling with haste. With the additional cost of exiling a creature. Of course, with Rogahh, you're going to have something to exile. But now with Molten Echoes, you're getting infinite exiling and returning to the battlefield, which is awesome.
And of course, like we said earlier, if I've got one of my...
Now it's exiling, not
Oh, it's not
dying.
Oh, it's not dying, so that's not the same. And is it... So it would have to be...
It would have to be Porphyros, Impact Tremors. Do you have any more Impact Tremors effects? Woody Roastmaster also works.
Okay. So there's a few
Since
cards.
it's a changeling as well, it can also trigger Dragon Tempest and Scourge of Valcast. So there are a few ways to access the combo.
Yeah, Dragon Tempest would be nice, and Scourge of Valkis would be... Okay, so there's actually quite a few cards that would work together to make that pretty much, yeah, GG.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, well, I didn't even realize how cool that was, and I hadn't even shown that to you before, so...
I want to see that go off.
I know, I want to see that go off. That hasn't happened yet because I didn't know how to do it. So here we go, something fun to deck around and find out about next time. Right?
Yes.
So, okay, let's, I think that's a great overview of kind of where I'm at with the deck. So thank you for joining us.
Now just remember to have fun and deck around and find out.